I'm Micah Smith, and we're going to take a look at some of the top tips for newbie developers. To explain some of these concepts, I'm joined by Jon Stueve. Jon Stueve is a training manager here at Automation Anywhere. So, Jon, what's the next tip?
If you're building bots and you're not working from requirements, you've got to start somewhere. And the best place to start is knowing your data. How is the bot going to be using what's coming from whatever your process is? What does that data look like? How is it formatted? Is it just a bunch of strings? Are the numbers coming as strings? And then also, what are you going to do as part of your process? I think that might be leading a little bit there, but really you have to know what the data is and what the data types are, especially with A2019. You can make everything a string, but if you ever have to do anything like adding, subtracting, dividing, you'll need to cast it into a number type. Or convert it into a number type. And then you might have to convert it back to put it into whatever you're going to be the output is. So knowing your data, knowing how it comes into your bot and then also goes out of your bot is very important. And then also with that, because there is data types in A2019, how to convert from one to another. If you need to show something into a text box or a message box as part of your debugging, you'll have to cast that into a string. And it goes back to what we said before. Those are tips by the icons of the data types that helps you know what you're supposed to do with the data. But you really want to understand what the data is and how it's going to be working. Knowing data first is like number one step I do when I start creating a new bot.
Like you mentioned, I mean, I think a lot of people maybe don't notice that there's actually multiple ways to be able to convert from one file format to another. I'm sorry, know that there's multiple ways to convert from one data type to another. So obviously from like a string to a number or number to a string, there are specific actions within those respective packages to do that. The other way that you mentioned is being able to do that casting in line. And that works as well, but you just have to know the ramifications of that, right? You're not going to be able to see, a number of extended digits when you're doing that inline casting versus when you do the conversion using the respective package and its action. Then you can specify, like if I'm going from number to a string, I can choose how many decimal points I want to support. And so just knowing exactly what your data is, like you said, and what format you need it in will really help you in that situation.
When you're using a bot within an organization, there's going to be several different bot builders. You need to come to an agreement on what your standard is. Will we always be casting using the actions, using the packages and actions, and using those as casts explicitly in the code? That's probably the best, most readable, most repeatable, most understandable code you can write. If you're doing inline scripting, understand what those limitations are. Sometimes it might be appropriate, but that also probably comes with, I need to add a comment so I can remember that I'm casting this type here. And so adherence to the standards of your organization is very important when you're dealing with data. What I'd like to do is tell you about Automation Anywhere University. The website is university.automationanywhere.com, and it is our portal for all things learning. We have free courses, online self-paced courses for bot developer and citizen developers, as well as business analysts, so you can better understand what makes a good robotic process.
For more tips, be sure to follow us on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on our developer portal at developer.automationanywhere.com and on Twitter.